What's up, everyone? This is Ignatius, and today I am bringing to you a video which will help you navigate, find, and purchase the timeless jewel that you need for your build. Now, this has been a long-standing, difficult guide to make, and there are other videos out there on this topic, but I think I have a method that is very ideal, very quick. I have a lot of folks in my own community who are confused on how to do this, so I thought I would make this cut and dry, one-stop shop, purpose-driven video for this. So, part one, introduction. These jewels are confusing. You basically are looking at a jewel that has a certain title. This one is Lethal Pride, for instance, and then a certain conqueror. So this one is, Rakiata, Karui Historic. And then the most confusing part, this number on this one between 10,000 and 18,000. What the heck is going on? How does this work? Now, I'll own up, I don't actually know. And I wish there was ways to navigate the numerical system meta within the game itself, but I am pretty sure it is impossible. I'll also say there may be other ways of navigating this system altogether. I am somewhat newer to PoE1. I'm about 3 years old, which is newer, makes me a rookie still. So I don't want to say this is the only or the best way, but this method works really well for me, and I've used it multiple seasons in a row now, and I highly recommend it. All right, now you're going to need 3 tools in order to do my method end to end. The first is Path of Building. You surely know what this is if you've found your way to this video. It's basically a tool that's able to represent your character and your items and your tree and everything about your character numerically with a configuration and calculation right here. Now, the reason you need this tool is because you want to paste your jewel into this tool and confirm that it gives you the values on the nodes that you're targeting. The next thing you're going to need is the Timeless Jewel Calculator website. I'll put a link to this on the bottom of the video, and I might make a written Mobalytics guide for this as well, so I'll put the link there. And the last thing you'll need, this is technically optional, but what I'm going to show you is a way to set up trade alerts and a way to test these jewels before you buy them. And to do this smoothly, you're going to need the TFT trade extension, which is this little bar over here. It's a Chrome extension that amplifies your trading experience in many, I consider, priceless, invaluable ways at this point. I can't live without this tool, and I use it in both games. So I'll link that for you as well in the video description and guide. All right, how do we actually do this? So part 2 of the video, but first step of actually finding your jewel. Usually you are seeing these jewels in someone's POB or in the PoE Ninja website. So as an example, here is the generic POB that I have just shared today with my viewers in my community to say, here's where I'm at with the build and here's how it's going. So they're going to come in here and they're going to see this right here, Lethal Pride 16473 Rakiata. Now you could go to the trade site and look for this exact jewel, but you probably won't find the exact specific number, and it might be really expensive or overly priced, priced way higher than it should be. That is to say that when you see this in somebody's build, you don't need the exact number that you see on the jewel. If you're able to get it and it truly is the best seed, then that's cool. But there's a way to search generically for the modifiers that the jewel is giving you. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do. So to get started, look at the jewel that you're looking for, and you want to find the name at the top. So you'll see mine is a Lethal Pride. And then you want to find the name of the conqueror, and you see mine is Rakiata Karui Historic. And then we're going to look at the number. And this is where we have to go to this website and this Timeless Jewel Calculator tool. So part 3 of the video, but part 2 of how to find your jewel. I'm going to basically use my own jewel as an example. So here's the Timeless Calculator, and go skill tree view. All right, for some reason I have to type it in again. I didn't know I was going to do that. So Lethal Pride, Rakiata. Now here's where you have to do some configuration yourself. You want to find, it's highlighted in purple, where you plan to put this jewel, and click it. That's going to automatically by default select all the nodes, which you really don't want. So there is a way. Oh gosh, tool, you're failing me. Oh, there we go. So pick one stat, one example stat, and then you can hit deselect, and then you can select the actual nodes that you want to activate in your tree. So if we go to my POB, You see I've got these ones activated, and these are the only ones that I want the tool to search. So we're going to highlight this node, these, and these. Now, sometimes when I'm searching for these early on in a build, I will know about other nodes, which I could take on my build if it meant that I can get the timeless jewel seed that I want. So let's say that I was willing to take Master the Arena, because I get fizz damage and 1% of life per second, not bad. We'll turn that on, and this tool will then search the jewels for the modifiers I want on these active nodes, and that's really, really important. The next thing you want to find out are what stats do you actually want from this timeless jewel. And what's really nice is it's going to show you the ones that are actually available, and you can navigate them at will. However, in the POBs that you're looking at, you may want to actually pull up the person's passive tree and hover over the nodes and see what values they are getting from their timeless jewel. So you can see mine here. Savagery is normally just +1 to max frenzy charges, but because of the jewel, it's also giving gain 1 rage melee on hit. Here's 4% max life, 1 to max fort, 5% of fizz is extra fire, and 20% to fire res. Now this jewel is actually not super strong for my build, but I really wanted the 1 rage on melee hit. That was essential. I don't even want to buy the jewel unless it has that. So we're going to go to the calculator, and we're going to say for stats, we need rage on melee hit. And because that one is required, we're going to say minimum is not 0, minimum is 1. Gotta have it. Now, if I search just this mod, we're going to get tons of results. You can see there's one that has 3 rage on melee hits in these nodes. There's 49 that have 2 nodes that would give us rage on melee hit. And there's 927 numbers that would give us 1 node that is rage on melee hit. So this is too many options to search. So let's add some more good stuff to our jewel search. We're going to go to config, and we're going to go to add stat, and we're going to look for other good stats. If you're an attack-based build, here's a great one to look for. Chance to deal double damage. I won't put a weighting on yet. We'll just look for some more good things. Let's look for crit. Crit is usually really good. We'll go melee crit multiplier. And we'll put these at min 1 and min 1 as well. So I'm looking for a jewel that has at least 1 of each of these. Search. Now we're down to 6 jewels that would give me 4 of those mods. So min 1 of all 3 and then a second of the others. That's pretty good. And then we're at 26 that would have 1 of each. And that's on these nodes that I have selected. Now, if you want to see where they actually live on the nodes, you would just click the tile, and it's going to highlight where the mods are that you want for that jewel. So it's basically simulated plugging that jewel into this socket. So here we have 1 rage on hit, melee crit multi, chance to deal double, chance to deal double. It'll also show you what's on the other nodes. So like if I was like, oh, this node's not bad, let me see what it gives you. It'll show you the additional modifiers that are on those nodes if you click them. So there's 20 strength, there's another double damage, there's stun duration, there's melee crit chance. So I would say, oh, okay, that gives that. I'm going to buy that jewel and path over here as well. Let's get a little pickier. Actually, let's not get pickier. This is good enough. So here's where we are in the guide. We've found where your node is going to go. We set up the jewel config. We picked the mods that we want, and we set a minimum on the ones that it has to have. So now we're going to use the tool to link off to the trade site and actually find the jewel we want. So let's just say this one is the best jewel we can think of, and the seed is 10,006. When you click the button, it comes over here, and it automatically populates our Conqueror Rakiata and 10,096 as the exclusive count that it is searching. Now, by default, it is set to in-person online only. You want to switch it to instant buyout and in-person. And here's why you want to switch it to that. And I'll make a couple of comments here that are my opinions, and if you disagree, that's totally fine. But here's kind of what I think. A lot of people who sell these jewels find, it's jewel spam for them. They're finding them, a bunch every hour, and they don't do instant buyout because they don't bother to check the actual value of all these jewels. So what they do is they go to their stash in game, and they drop the jewel into a public tab like this one, and they set a price on it, maybe like 10 div. And then every day they lower it, and they're waiting for somebody to actually message them. They don't want to do instant buyout because let's say they set it to 5 div and then they suddenly get like 1,000 messages because it turned out it was a really, really good jewel. Well, they don't want to lose the value for having sold that on instant trade way lower than they should. So some of them actually use in-person trade frequently. And so that's why I'd recommend when you get over here, turn on in-person online and instant buyout. The other thing I'll say, and I offer this with a big caveat, if it's listed as instant buyout, some of them will entertain an offer on that jewel. I would otherwise never recommend PMing somebody with an offer on an item that they have listed for instant buyout. I think it's BM, but with these jewels, I think it is different. I go to shops where a person has full tabs of timeless jewels and they're literally just lowering the prices every day. So if I feel the jewel is like really specific to my build and is actually not that valuable market wide, I could, I've actually never done this, but I wouldn't think it was wrong to message them and say, hey, I need that jewel. Would you take 1 divine instead of 100 divine, or whatever it is, and just see what they say. They may not even be online, but there you go. The last thing I'll say is that if you have found a jewel that is perfect, but it doesn't exist on the market, you can use the trade extension to create a bookmark. So we have this trade right here for this jewel. We'll create a bookmark. We can label it timeless, best one, and save. Then every time we log in or open the game or start playing, we open this bookmark. Our jewel is pre-populated. We hit activate live search, and we will get a notification and a sound when that jewel comes up on the marketplace. So that's the last thing I would recommend. So like for this one, I would open up all 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. The trade site's going to load for all 4 of them. I'm going to switch them to in-person and instant buyout if it doesn't remember. So I would switch all 4 to that. I would bookmark all 4 in the trade extension, and then I would set all 4 to active live search if there are none available on the market, and then I would wait. And in the meantime, you could come down here and you could search these one at a time on the marketplace and try to find one that exists with the nodes that you need. Okay, the last thing is you're going to want to test out the jewel before you actually buy it. And this is something that I don't know if it's really that necessary, but some of these are really expensive and you want to make sure it really is what you want. So here's one that we had brought up in our ideal search earlier. Let's see, what is the seed on this one that's actually available? This is 11826. Let me find my 11826. Where did you go? There it is, 11826. So here's this one. It is using this node, so it's like not perfect, but it is a double. We get 2 chance to deal double damages. We have a crit multi, and we have the rage on melee hit. So this is really good. This guy is not listing it for instant trade, so I could message him and say, hey, would you take 3 div or whatever. However, the thing I really want to show is that you want to test this jewel out, or at least I like to test them out to make sure that it is really going to do what this tool says it does. And this is especially if it is expensive. So again, if you have the TFT trade extension, you can hit this little button right here. It says copy item. Bonk. Come over here into your POB and go to items, and you're just going to hit Control V, which is to paste the item. And there it is. That's the exact jewel. We're going to hit add to build. I'm going to come over here to this socket 7, which is that socket that I'm targeting. And I'm going to grab this new one, 11826. Boom. Now, if I come into the tree, I can verify. Boom. Chance to deal double damage. Melee crit multi. Chance to deal double damage. Up here, 1 rage on melee hit. And I'll check my extra node, which is 20 strength. Another extra node, which is Warcry buff effect. Now, I've never seen it not be the same as it is in the tool. I'm just a little, like, especially if they're really expensive, and if it's not an instant trade, it's not like it's going to sell, under my feet really quickly. I like to double check, and so that's a way that you can double check. Finally, of course, you can buy it, and you can come into game, and you can swap it in, and you're all done. All right, I hope this has been helpful. I've got this all in under 15 minutes. I will include links to all of the tools, and also to my Discord. If you have any questions, come on over to our Discord and join the discussion. I always recommend that for everybody. Please leave any comments or suggestions or other tips that you have for this system and navigating it in the YouTube comments, or of course over in Discord. And thank you everyone for watching.